Without camera proof, it's hard to believe. History's 10 worst floods. Number 1. 4 million dead. 25 million affected in all time. 10. Storm Daniel. Sept 2023. It tore through Greece like an awakened beast. Meteorologists report a Zagora, Greece station got 750 millimeters rain in 24 hours, worth about 18 months' total average. Suddenly, torrents flooded farms, wrecked homes. Greece looked washed clean, yet Daniel kept raging beyond Greece. With greater force, it surged east, finally fixed on Libya. On Sept 10, Daniel hit Libya's east coast. An unprecedented flood arrived quietly in Derna, northeast Libya's key port. The storm peaked. Here, 2 aging dams crashed down in the storm. Flood beasts that swallowed the city whole. Reports say Derna got 414.1 millimeters of rain in a day, record. Floods peaked at 7 meters, sweeping neighborhoods into the sea. Streets became rivers, homes islands, city drowned in water. Reports say Derna's flood death toll ranges from 2,300 to 5,300. Libya's overall toll across the country can't be pinned down, yet thousands dead is now clearly beyond dispute. Floods left 10,000 to 100,000 missing and over 20,000 homeless. The flood devastated the local economy. $2.18 billion lost, farms ruined, infrastructure crippled, and rebuilding will take years. After the disaster, world and Libyan government moved fast, launching rescues. Transport, power, calms down, rescue hard. Rescuers and rubber boats slog through muddy floodwaters, desperately searching for trapped residents. Still, many couldn't escape the flood's grasp. Number 9. 1939 Tianjin flood. Natural disasters are unavoidable. When human-made ones add on, apocalypse. Late summer 1939, North China faced unprecedented storms. Records say Tianjin then got about 800 millimeters of rain. This figure far exceeded Tianjin's average annual rainfall. Upstream Hai River and Tianjin waterways rose suddenly, as if all waters pooled together here, creating a force no one could stop. On August 20th, Chen Tengzhuang Dam collapsed, flooding land south of Hai River instantly with a roar. Floodwaters stormed into Tianjin, overrunning Shaoluzhuang, Channezhuang, and Tonglu one by one. Within days, 80% of the city lay underwater, like doomsday. Tianjin had just over 3,650,000 were directly affected. Over 100,000 homes were washed away. Countless families left homeless. For 6 weeks, floods crippled Tianjin. Roads nearly shut down, and industry and commerce suffered. Direct losses neared $700 million. A heavy blow to China's economy then indeed. To get through this disaster, all watercraft in Tianjin were mobilized to help rescue the victims. People banded, built rafts from planks and doors, struggling for survival hope afloat. Some residents rowed boats far to buy essentials for survival. Yet the disaster also revealed humanity's dark side. Occupying Tianjin, Japanese troops deliberately flooded areas to cripple armed resistance, worsening the deluge. Meanwhile, they planted bombs on key routes and imposed food rations, further worsening already desperate refugees. Bad merchants gouged prices nationwide amid crisis, worsening unrest. Number 8. 1949 Guatemala flood. Guatemala's location invites constant natural hazards. Yet the 1949 flood shocked everyone, throwing the nation into panic and despair. The worst hit came in October, as Guatemala's nationwide rainfall reached record highs. Weather data: Guatemala City saw over 500 millimeters rain 3 days before flooding record. Relentless rain swelled rivers. Water rose fast, triple normal. Dikes failed. Floods swept into lowlands and villages, drowning farms, homes. Within hours, Guatemala River rose nearly 4 meters. Bridges washed out, roads blocked, communications and transport cut off. Official figures say floods killed at least 4,000. Many families vanished overnight, and 100,000 were left homeless and displaced. Guatemala is agricultural. Floods wiped out fields and crops, causing a severe food crisis. About 500,000 hectares flooded, 30% of arable. Corn and beans were nearly wiped out. Many farmers lost the whole year's harvest. Livestock losses were dire. Thousands of cattle and sheep drowned, wrecking rural economies and causing an estimated $512 million in direct losses. Also, the flood sparked severe public health issues. Pooled water and wetlands breed mosquitoes, speeding fast spread of malaria and dengue. After floods, drinking water tainted. Cholera spread wildly. Floods damaged health facilities, causing medicine shortages and missed care, worsening the outbreak. Estimates put epidemic-driven displacement at thousands, shockingly surpassing the flood's own direct deaths and injuries by a wide margin. Number 7. The 1954 Yangtze flood. Water can bear boats and overturn them. The Yangtze River underpins China's economy and culture. But when this river floods, it becomes a merciless destroyer. Late spring 1954, the mid-lower Yangtze seemed shrouded in gloom. Cold and warm air kept circling this vast land, bringing pain to earth. Since April, torrential rains have poured down with unprecedented volume, intensity, and coverage across the region. Plum rain season ran over a month longer. Yangtze seemed drowned in non-stop rain. Prolonged rains rapidly raised Yangtze main and tributary levels, triggering a once-in-a-century flood. Records show August 1, 1954, the lower Yangtze main stem reached a record 92,600 cubic meters per second. This record remains unbroken to this day. Yangtze main stem and Dongting and Poyang systems hit record highs. About 1,800 kilometers downstream was scoured by unprecedented floods. Floodwaters raged. Major city water levels surged fast. Pangku Station's level topped the 1931 mark on July 18 at 28.28 meters. On August 18 it hit 29.73, with peak flow 76,100 cubic meters/s. At Datong, Flood Crest topped the record by 1.66 meters. Yangtze and Lower Han dikes breached. Branch and local levees failed non-stop. Dongting Lake, Hunan, 900-plus dikes, 70% breached. 257,000 ha of farmland flooded. Honghu and the Dongjing River up to Wuhan submerged. Most dikes at Poyang Lake's 5 river mouths collapsed. In 5 Yangtze provinces, 123 counties were hit. 18.88 million people affected, and 3.17 million hectares of farmland severely damaged total. These numbers hide drowned homes and lives fighting still. Rank 6. The Jumadian flood disaster. After it was built, many insisted the Banqiao Dam could never ever fail. However, facts proved even the mightiest engineering can't resist nature's violent power. August 1975, Typhoon Nina hit Xinjiang, Fujian, crossed Jiangxi and Hunan, then stalled over Jumadian, Henan. This typhoon brought fierce winds and unprecedented heavy rain. August 4 to 8, storm center peak rainfall reached 1,631 millimeters. 3-day max 1,605 millimeters near Banqiao Reservoir. Linzhuang logged 830 millimeters in 6 hours, topping the 782 world record. 24-hour rainfall hit 1,060 millimeters, a China record. Rain blotted the sky. Day turned night. Dead sparrows everywhere, proving this disaster's terror. Banqiao Reservoir, built for 492 million cubic meters, proved fragile under relentless downpours that night. In days, reservoir levels topped warning mark. Heavy rain still falling. At 1 a.m. on August 8th, water rose to 117 meters, 1.6 m above the crest, and the dam instantly collapsed. Over 600 million cubic meters of flood burst out, 9 m high, 12 kilometers wide, forming a terrifying torrent. Banqiao Reservoir's dam break was like opening Pandora's box, sparking a chain reaction. Within hours, dozens of nearby reservoirs failed. Over 6 billion tons of floodwater swept Jumadian, wiping out countless homes and leveling towns. Greater than 26,000 dead. 5.96 million homes collapsed. 302,300 cattle, $1.4 billion in damage. After disaster, Jumadian lay in ruins, rebuilding stalled. Lines cut and roads wrecked, delayed aid. Given the era, rebuilding lacked strong backing or organization, so survivors relied on self-help. Families torn apart, refugees scattered, deeply affecting society. Years later, Jumadian at last shook off the shadow and revived. Number 5. 1974 Bangladesh floods. In 1974, Bangladesh began rebuilding after independence from Pakistan. New nation faces economic strain, weak infrastructure, soaring population. However, a flood struck, further worsening the country's monsoon deluges scoured the ground. Bangladesh's rivers, especially the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna, surged fast within days, triggering nationwide flood disaster. Estimates say floods covered 2/3 of the country, impacting nearly 40 million, about 60% of people. About 13 million were forced from home, displaced refugees. Many of them had to live in temporary shelters, facing food shortages and the threat of disease. In agrarian Bangladesh, this flood hit hardest. Floodwaters submerged paddies, fish farms and fields, crippling agriculture. Figures say floods ruined half the nation's paddies, sharply cutting grain output. Meanwhile, floods swept away millions of livestock, worsening the food supply crisis. Food shortages sparked a severe Bangladesh famine. Tens of thousands died of hunger and malnutrition. Estimates say that the 1974 flood and ensuing famine combined killed about 1 million, mostly from hunger, disease, and malnutrition. Meanwhile, floods also caused massive infrastructure damage nationwide. Flood destroyed roads, bridges, power, communications, hindering rescue efforts. Sanitation collapsed. Cholera, dysentery, and other infections spread, killing more. The government of Bangladesh faced immense pressure in responding to this disaster. Resources were scarce, so the government couldn't deliver relief or support. The international community intervened with aid. Fourth, the 1935 Yangtze flood. That summer, the river's middle and upper reaches felt covered by an unseen force. Scorching heat broke at late June and early July, shifting suddenly fast. Expected relief rain became endless disaster. Sheets of rain without stop across western Hubei, Hunan, and the Han Basin, southern Shanxi, southern Henan, northwest Hubei. Rain knifed down 5 days, 5 nights. Xingshan 1,084 millimeters, Wufeng 1,281.8 millimeters. Record highs. Rain swelled Yangtze and tributary floods. Disaster spread. As rain kept pooling, Yangtze and its tributaries rose quickly, soon exceeding channel capacity. Low houses on mid-lower Han River collapsed. Banks submerged. Below Zhongshan, 16 counties, 6.7 mu flooded, 300,000 homes destroyed, 3.7 m displaced, over 80,000 dead. On the Yangtze main stem, Yichang to Shashi stretch was hit hard. Zhejiang's peak topped the 1931 record. Floods toward Jingzhong Dike at Hengdianzi, Jintai, Deshengbai, and Mabuguai, gaps each 300 to 1,200 meters wide. Raging river burst into Jingsha. Jingzhou was surrounded, transport cut off. Countless struggled to survive. Later, strange diseases worsened Yangtze Basin survivors' plight. Unburied bodies and dead livestock let epidemics rage. Cholera, typhoid, and other infections spread fast in the disaster zone. Many flood-injured survivors later died there from disease. Then, Yangtze Basin lacked medical care. Disease outbreaks killed many refugees who might have survived. Estimates put post-flood disease deaths at hundreds of thousands. Against such devastation, rescue efforts seemed utterly futile. The disaster was so severe, government and NGOs couldn't reach every affected area. In remote regions, ruined roads and cut communications delayed aid. Many died of hunger and cold alone. Despite massive government rebuilding aid for flood survivors who lost their homes, the trauma still runs deep and resists healing. Third, 1938 Yellow River flood. June 1938. War raged. To stop Japan's advance, the nationalist government chose a horrifying move, breaching the Yellow River dikes. The Yellow River, hailed as China's mother river, yet in war this age-old lifeline suddenly became a devil swallowing countless lives and homes. Early June 9th, a blast tore open Yellow River's Waiwanku dike, suddenly forming a 500-meter, 30-meter deep gap in second. Yellow River bursts out like wild horses, ravaging you. When Silan's floods swamped 44 counties, 540,000 kilometers squared, over 2 million mu farmland, homes, lives ruined. This man-made flood wasn't just disaster scale, it was a calamity in human history itself on Earth. Official counts put flood deaths at 890,000. Disease and famine raised the toll. Many refugees were homeless. Bodies and debris floated in the water. Now the Yellow River wasn't a mother river of life and plenty, but death itself. Its record lows triggered a chilling wider chain reaction. Floodwater surged into the Huai River, bringing yearly disasters and creating a vast 400-kilometer Wangfan zone. Each flood season, yellow waters drown fields, leaving dunes and rough ground, crippling agriculture. Floods caused famine. Tens of millions became refugees. Henan swamped with starving drifters. Blame for the disaster remains disputed. Some say it was a wartime necessity to stop Japan's advance at all. But this choice drove innocents to ruin. Wartime brutality made this decision one of history's most disputed, costing countless people their lives dearly indeed. Second, the 1887 Yellow River flood. In China's Guangxu Year 13, chaos reigned nationwide then. On September 30, sudden heavy rains hit the Central Plains. Zhengzhou, Henan, marked disaster's start. At first, Yellow River opened a small breach here, 30 zheng wide. Yet in 3 days, the breach roared, swelling past 300 zheng, about 1,000 meters. Floodwaters stampeding out wildly. A fierce flood ringed Zhengzhou in seconds, over 10 meters deep, crushing Zhongmu, then roaring downstream away. When floods hit ancient Kaifeng, waters neared 40 meters, submerging thousands of eastern villages. Floods submerged the city. Offices, temples, and homes collapsed. Families shattered. Statistics show the flood displaced 1.5 million. Some scholars estimate deaths up to 7 million. UK Middlesex IR professor Peter Huff called it among the deadliest natural disasters in human history. The Qing response to disaster was slow and weak. Corruption, neglected waterworks, poor river control, floods laid it all bare. Rulers worried less about sealing the breach fast than about refugees revolting, so they sent ministers back as provincial governors to deter unrest. Not until October 15th did the court send 100,000 taels to the disaster zone. A drop for many. Repairs crawled. Only on January 20, 1889, was the lowest gap sealed. Already 18 months after the flood then? The Yellow River flood went beyond direct losses, reshaping China's politics, economy, and society. Disaster hit farmers lost land and food, so they roamed, seeking new livelihoods elsewhere. This mass refugee surge strained other regions and sparked social ills, rampant banditry, and local unrest across the countryside. Also, the disaster stirred anger at Qing rule, sparking later waves of social change. Number 1. 1931 China flood. In 1931, China's worst recorded floods shattered countless families and reshaped the nation vastly forever. The floods hit multiple basins, Yangtze, Yellow, Huai, with vast devastation that still chills. That summer, the Yangtze Basin saw its fiercest rain since the 1800s. Rainy season started in spring. Downpours quickly swelled river. Meanwhile, the Yangtze kept rising day after day. By July, things turned even worse. Records show Hangzhou's Yangtze hit 16.3 meters, far above the warning line. That number alone shocks us. But worse, it's only the disaster's bleak beginning. Floods hit 29 provinces in North, East, Central, South China, from the Pearl Basin to beyond the Great Wall, from northern Jiangsu to Sichuan Basin, unprecedented in size. About 100 million affected, roughly a quarter of Zhongguo then. Millions displaced, losing homes and loved ones. Floods killed over 1.4 million directly. Hunger and disease claimed millions more, driving the combined overall death toll to nearly 4 million people. Deadliest natural disaster ever on record. Over 25 million people were affected. Floods caused incalculable losses. Homes collapsed, fields turned barren, farming was devastated, and months-long famine struck region. As a major mid-Yangtze city, Wuhan was nearly submerged by the flood. Wuhan's 3 towns flooded over a month. Many homes collapsed. Streets became rivers. Residents survived on rooftops or high ground. Records show Wuhan lost 32,600 to floods, famine, and plague, plunging city into chaos and despair. Northern Anhui's Huai River counties faced total devastation. Buyang County saw 50,000 homes flooded and 2,000 deaths. The walled town was encircled, and Huai River villages nearby vanished entirely. Jiangsu, especially Riverside, also flooded. Wuhu's Fenglin and Mapu dikes broke, flooding 200,000 plus new. Below Nanjing waters stretched tens of kilometers, only hilltops visible. Flooding was widespread. Rescue work after disaster proved harder than expected. Government mobilized troops and civilians, fixed dams, dredged river channels. Yet this disaster is so vast, our efforts feel tiny. That's all for today's video. Which of today's 10 biggest floods impressed you most? Tell us below in comments, and share why it